Santa is Coming to Alabama. Written by Steve Smallman. Illustrated by Robert Dunn and Alan Brown.
Well, boomed Santa, have all the children from Alabama been good this year?
Well, mostly, answered the little old elf as he bustled across the busy workshop to Santa's desk.
Santa peered down at the elf from behind the tall, teetering piles of letters that the children of Alabama had sent him. Mostly, asked Santa, looking over the top of his glasses.
Yes, but they've all been especially good in the last few days, said the elf.
Jolly good, chuckled Santa. Then we'd better get the presents loaded up.
Like, even though the sack of presents was really, really big, and the elves, they're like really, really small, they seem to like have no trouble, like literally loading it into Santa's sleigh.
Napoleon, I don't see any I don't see all these likes on my script.
Like, though, how they managed to like fit it in such a big sack. Into one little sleigh. Like, I didn't even know. But, like, they did it. It was like flipping sweets.
Splendid, boomed Santa. We're ready to go.
Oh, not quite, Santa, said the old elf. One of our reindeer is missing.
Missing? Which reindeer is missing? Asked Santa.
The youngest one, Santa, said the elf. It's his first flight tonight. I've called him, but just then a young reindeer strolled up munching on a large carrot.
Well, where have you been? Asked Santa. But the youngest reindeer was crunching so loudly that it was no wonder he hadn't heard the little old elf calling. Oh, well, never mind, said Santa, giving the reindeer a little wink. He took out his Santa nav and tapped in the coordinates for the great state of Alabama. This will guide us to Alabama in no time.
Crunch, crunch, crunch.
With a flick of the reins and a jerk of the harness, off they went racing through the night. Ho, 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 laughed Santa. We'll soon have these presents delivered to the heart of Dixie.
Well, Santa's sleigh flew through the starry night, heading south across the Arctic Ocean. On they flew in the crisp wintry air, crossing over Canada. In the wink of an eye, the sleigh was flying above Ohio and on over the Great Smoky Mountains. The youngest reindeer was very excited. He had never been away from the North Pole before. They were just nearing the Coosa Valley when suddenly they ran into a thick fog. Mist swirled around the sleigh. They couldn't see a thing. The youngest reindeer was getting a bit worried, but Santa didn't seem concerned.
In 2 miles, said the Santa nav in a bossy lady's voice. Keep lifting the next star.
But, ma'am, Santa blustered, I can't see any stars in all this fog.
Soon, they were hopelessly lost. Then, through the foggy blanket, the youngest reindeer heard a faint ringing sound.
Ding dong!
That was very faint.
Thank you. He looked over at the old reindeer with the red nose, but he had his head down. Red nose? I wonder who that could be.
Someone's got a cold.
Ding dong! Ding dong! Ding dong!
Ding dong.
There was that sound again, like church bells ringing. The youngest reindeer turned around to look at Santa. But Santa wasn't listening. He seemed to be arguing with a little box with buttons on it. With a flick of the harness and a jerk of the reins, the youngest reindeer gave a sharp tug and headed off toward the sound of the bells, pulling Santa and his sleigh behind him.
Whoa! Cried Santa, pulling his hat straight. What's going on? Then, to his surprise, he heard the ringing sound. Well done, young reindeer, he shouted cheerfully. It must be the St. John's Episcopal Church. Don't worry, children. Santa is coming. Then suddenly, crunch!
The sleigh hit something as it plummeted through the fog. You have arrived, said the Santa Nab unhelpfully.
Finally, when the fog had lifted, Santa discovered exactly where they were, stuck right at the very top of the Montgomery State Capitol.
Montgomery?
Everybody pull, Santa said.
The reindeer pulled with all their might until at last, with a screeching noise, the sleigh scraped clear of the dome, and Santa steered them safely past Centennial Hill, over Highland Avenue, and down into Oak Park. Luckily, there was no real damage done, but the packages had all been jumbled up. Santa quickly sorted the presents into order once again.
All right, said Santa. Thanks to this young reindeer, I know where we are now. Don't worry, children. Santa is coming.
Santa drove his sleigh expertly from the rooftop to rooftop over Alabama, popping in and out of chimneys as fast as he could go, which was pretty fast for a chubby fellow. There were big chimneys in Tuscaloosa and small chimneys in Anniston. He squeezed down thin chimneys in Auburn and plummeted down fat chimneys in Birmingham.
Why they got to be fat in Birmingham? What's that about?
The youngest reindeer was amazed at how quickly Santa went. Santa never seemed to get tired at all, and it looked like the children in Alabama were going to be very lucky this year. But the youngest reindeer was starting to feel a bit weary and quite hungry, too. Can you relate, Jeremy?
I can.
In house after house, Santa delved inside his sack for packages of every shape and size. He pulled them under the Christmas trees and carefully filled up the stockings with all kinds of surprises. In house after house, the good children of Alabama had left out a plate of cookies, a small glass of milk, a big crunchy carrot. Santa took a bite out of each cookie and a tiny sip of milk, wiped his beard, and popped the carrots into his sack.
From Huntsville to Prattville? Hey, Emma loves you. From Dothan to Decatur, from Madison to Blount County, and other places, hey, other places in between, Santa and his sleigh visited every house in Alabama. Santa delivered presents to Ashlyn, Kara, Stacy, Kim, Christy, Courtney, Kevin, Tim, Channing, even Shaggy, and even Robbie, and Jeremy and Chris. I love Jeremy and Chris. Finally, Santa had delivered the last present on his long Alabama list.
Great moons and stars, sighed Santa. It's past midnight and my sack seems as heavy as ever.
Keep it clean. Please, God. Focus.
I hope I haven't forgotten anyone.
That's bad for your back.
Go ahead, Morgan.
Well, Santa opened his sack to check, but it was full of juicy, crunchy carrots. Santa divided the carrots among all the reindeer. Well done, he said, patting the youngest reindeer gently on the nose. But the youngest reindeer didn't hear him. He was too busy munching.
Roadhead.
Come on, Earl. Golly, why do you always smell like that?
Get her done, Earl.
Then it was time to set off for home. Santa reset that old nav. That bossy old lady. Once more to the North Pole. And soon they were speeding over the greatest stadium and the greatest team and the greatest coach of all time. Bryant Denny Stadium, Roll Tide Roll. Nick Saban can't wait for another national championship, number 28.
I don't see that anywhere on
That's
the script.
nowhere in the book, Earl.
That's nowhere in this book.
Well, even over Nakalula Falls. I took Darby up there one time.
Did you?
Went camping.
Yeah, I think you called us while you were here, too.
Did you ride the train too?
Yes, I did. Mm-hmm. And even Palisades Park. Such a beautiful place. And even Chris Hubauer's house.